Welcome, Spartans, to Halo TV Plus, part of Evolved, your home for Halo. I am your host, Oran, and on Halo TV Plus, my guests and I recap Halo's original television show, Halo the Series, and we discuss its contents and unique canon within the Silver Timeline. Joining me again to discuss Episode 5 of Season 2, Aleria, is Krysta. Welcome back!
Hello! Hi, I'm still here.
She's still
watching
here.
TV. I just love me some TV.
She loves TV. And she loves Halo.
I do, yeah.
Halo's a good time.
Halo's a thing.
Do you cosplay as any Halo characters, or you cosplay other things?
You know how hard it is to cosplay Halo characters? Like, who would I cosplay?
I don't know.
Like, you would have to make the armor, and like, while I would love to make the armor, that is quite
You should cosplay as Spark from the Rubicon, or not the Rubicon Protocol.
When he's in the
when 343
when Guilty
is
Spark's
in the
robot.
armature. And
I should just get a light bulb and be like, I'm Guilty Spark.
Like in Renegades.
Yes.
That's who you should cosplay as. And we should send another thing to Tim Dabo, another cameo, and he could just record lines for you, so when people talk to you, you can play those back.
I love Tim Dabo. He's so great.
He's so animated, and it's like seeing him in interviews and stuff is amazing.
He was so much fun to interview, honestly. He was a treat.
Yeah, that was definitely him, and Scott Brick, I think, are one of my favorite people we've interviewed for the Halo.
Every time he went into the Guilty Spark voice, I wanted to die. I was like, oh my god. Did you see that? We've gotten completely off topic, but they're making a Mega Bloks Guilty Spark.
I did not see that. That's awesome. How big is it?
Yes, I want like 20 of them. Is it like
the Death Star size? Or not quite that big?
No, I think it's I'm pretty sure it's quite small, but it does turn red.
Oh,
the little eye. So
yeah, you'll have to get it.
I'm very.
You can put it on your desk.
I have
like
to
that's
get
an
it.
easy like desk knickknack.
I know. I'm gonna get like 20 of them and just put them all around my house.
So no matter where you are, you'll be able to see at least one of them.
I'll have a Guilty Spark. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, let's dive in. Welcome to the show, everybody. If you're a returning listener, then you know the deal. But if you're new and just joining us, Halo TV Plus produces 2 podcast episodes that accompany each Halo the Series episode. So this is the analysis episode, where in a moment, Krysta and I will highlight some scenes and characters from the episode of Aleria that we believe need slightly further analysis and conversation. We'll discuss the characters' arcs, some motivations, choices that the showrunner and writers made of the overall story, as well as our predictions for the next episode. Earlier in the week, we released our commentary episode for Aleria, where we discussed the whole episode while watching it. If you missed it, we recommend listening to that episode first, and then listening to the analysis, but it's up to you. We did talk a lot about some of the things we're going to talk about now in this episode in the commentary. I think just because that episode was so long, we were able to fill it with a little bit more of a conversation. So I definitely recommend listening to our commentary episode. Halo TV Plus.
We definitely did commentary, that's for sure.
We did. We commented on Halo.
We commentaried.
Halo TV Plus is part of Evolve that hosts other Halo podcasts like Podcast Evolved, HCS Pro Talk, Mission Debrief, Builds with Blocks, and Halo Book Club. You can learn more about each of those shows on our website, evolvedhalo.com. Evolved also hosts I Would Have Been Your Podcast, which is a Patreon-exclusive podcast for our subscribed patrons. If you're interested in becoming a patron and want to learn more, head over to patreon.com/HaloEvolved to learn more. Patrons also receive a variety of other exclusive rewards, such as early episodes, access to our original 18-song soundtrack, unique swag, and access to our private Discord channel. Shout out to our current subscribers. Thank you guys so much for helping us keep the show going with fees and things like that. And hope you guys enjoy all the rewards we give.
Hooray.
Hooray.
Ooh.
Now, we spoke at length about this last episode, Aleria. I think it was our longest episode yet for the TV show. Or for the season, anyway. So I think we'll just start with Chief and Silver Team, because like this episode continues the kind of like fracturing and sort of like breaking down on Silver Team. And like this is a theme that has been going on for a few episodes now, and something we kind of thought would eventually come, because Chief is alone on the Halo in the games. It's very iconic. It's just him and Cortana escaping the Pillar of Autumn, and Blue Team is not with him. So Silver Team being pulled away is just kind of seemed like the natural progression for these characters. And it seems that each of the three Silver Team members, and if you want to put Soren in the mix as well, each of them, I think, has a fairly unique and different way of, I guess, going about their business, so to speak. And so you have Vanek, who is killed in action, which is a pretty standard way to get rid of somebody out of a fire team.
Bye.
See you later. Fought heroically and had a very heroic death, defending Chief and everybody else and Reach. Kai, you have kind of being reassigned. She was, influenced by Ackerson in a previous episode, and in the very last scene of this episode, we finally learned where she went, and she is now in Onyx and presumably taking the mantle of Kurt and leading the Spartan Threes and training them. And Riz just kind of retires. She has been through a lot physically and mentally and is just completely broken down. And she wants to stay on Aleria and kind of defiantly and in her own way tells Chief that she's done. And to include Soren, he, left the Spartan program after augmentation, and now he's kind of back in the scene a little bit just because he's looking for his son. So he kind of has a temporary sort of alliance with Chief and the UNSC just while he's looking for his son. But presumably he would leave and be with his son once they find him, or unless something happens to him.
I guess they would go back to the rubble.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think some of the scene that we had with Soren and Liara in this episode was almost like, oh, well, maybe if they moved from Aleria, they can get a nice plot of land. They can have a pretty normal life there. I kind of got that maybe Soren was entertaining that idea. But that's when Liara was like, how could you be so jovial in a time like this? Like, we're looking for our son and Reach and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, he and his family would potentially go off somewhere and try to live a normal life. And that leaves just kind of John on his own. So Krysta, my question for you is like, how do you feel about the kind of different paths that these Spartans are taking, and do you kind of like how they're breaking and deconstructing Silver Team to leave Chief all alone?
I mean, it makes sense if they're going to be retelling Halo CE or something close to it in the next season, which kind of is what it feels like might be happening. And it might just be one of those, story tropes where everyone, goes off and does their own thing, and then the main protagonist is on their own for like a season or something, and then, something happens and then they all come back together, and it's a very like, yay kind of moment.
Yeah, nice like little reunion.
So, I mean, yeah, that could be what they are, what they're building towards. I don't hate it at all. Like, it makes sense in the context of what's going on, in like the context of this specific timeline. And obviously, like it is somewhat mirroring the original canon as well, because Blue Team kind of gets separated from Chief during the events of Reach, and they kind of are off doing their own thing while Chief's playing on a Halo, a giant hula hoop.
Yeah, while Chief's over there and doing his own thing for sure. When we finally get to kind of the later half of the season, now that we're entering this and eventually on to the Halo and whatever season 3 might become and all that, do you think like Chief needs another character, like in the context of the show, like maybe someone other than Cortana, or maybe Cortana is just that person? Like, do you think that maybe Kai comes back or Soren stays with him or something to kind of make it a little different. Is that something that maybe you would want, or do you kind of want it to be as true as it can be to core canon?
It'd be nice if Cortana came back, but the other thing that differs from core canon is that Chief has actual things to say and emotions, unlike our Master Chief in Halo CE, which desperately needed someone else talking or else he wouldn't have said anything. So this Chief is definitely a lot more emotive and monologue-y more than, you know, our normal boy, the actual boy. So, I mean, this Chief can go off and do his own thing, and I think it would be fine. But it seems like Cortana's probably heading to the Halo, and John's probably going to eventually end up at the Halo. So we're all going to have a fun little party,
reunion party.
together.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how the Cortana and Chief relationship gets reconnected, because I'm still not convinced that Makee has like all of Cortana. Like, I feel like she has only a copy or a fragment or a splinter. I'm not sure. I forget the word they use it in the core canon, but she's just like a fragment of the main Cortana brain that exists somewhere, probably at Onyx. And so I feel that somewhere in the next couple of episodes, like, that pairing would happen again, to where the true Cortana would come back and be like reconnected into Master Chief. So then we can get Cortana, the armor, and then he kind of goes about doing what he wants to do, which right now is to take back, or, you know, kind of get back at Parangoski and Ackerson for abandoning Reach. But I guess after the events of that, however that unfolds in the next episode or two, he then kind of realigns himself, or I would assume he would, to now focusing back on like purely the Covenant, or trying to learn more about the Forerunners, and to see what innate, like whatever is in his body that makes him, that imprinted, that special one, blessed one, to
thingy.
Yeah, to like, you know, to kind of have that calling. So we kind of see.
It's basically Reclaimer. I mean,
that's what I was trying to say. He hasn't fully embraced that yet, because even in season 1, he did look at the artifact a whole lot, but it was very much within the mindset of wanting to know more about his childhood, and not about, well, where did this artifact come from, who created it, and why do I have a connection to it, which is what Halsey is really looking at. John just wanted to know who he was and kind of learn from that point of view in the first season. And so I'm waiting for him to start being a little more intrigued, and we kind of get more of like CE, Halo 2, and even like Halo 4, kind of learning about these new,
the mantle.
Yeah, and like kind of learning a more,
all the Forerunners.
Exactly.
Stuff. Yeah.
Which I hope they eventually get to.
They have to, right? I mean, they've teased, like, we've seen a monitor once during Juan's like thing in Halo, the first season. Yep. So we don't know why there was a monitor there, but whatever.
Yeah, still don't.
But I mean, yeah, we know Forerunner shit's coming, but we haven't gotten there yet. I think they're just waiting, because the thing about Forerunner shit is it gets very complicated very, very quickly.
Yes, it can. But I think they'll be able to explain it fairly well. I mean, they explained the artifact in season 1, and like they changed the names Reclaimer versus Blessed One, and maybe the word Reclaimer will come back in the context of the Forerunners.
Well, I think Blessed One is more of a Covenant word.
Yes, that's kind of what I was meaning by it. So if they eventually meet Guilty Spark or whatever this monitor was that was on Madrigal in that portal, then they speak to that monitor, then the monitor can use the word Reclaimer, and they can learn a little bit more, and it'd be interesting to kind of get all of that context. Do we think so Quan, to kind of like piggyback off of her, so like this episode we talked about in the commentary, she doesn't really do anything that's interesting. She
that sums up her entire character.
It really does. And she does have some decent character moments of like being passionate about what she's passionate about in terms of like being having the opportunity to bury the dead and respect them and move on and have that closure that I think is missing from when she lost her family and her dad and her whole planet. But how she has to, like, something has to come to her, and I think we got a taste of it at the end of this episode that kind of pulls her in a way, I think, kind of down the Forerunner sort of path, right? Like, she saw the monitor a little bit. Like, is her purpose to just kind of help us bridge a gap between the Forerunners and, I guess, the Halo? Like, do you kind of see that being a way to kind of redeem her, or how do you think Kwan can become interesting? Like, what do you think's going on there?
It's strange because she obviously doesn't have the, like, power. Like, they did something weird because technically in the main canon, any human can activate any Forerunner object, right? So this whole, like, only certain humans can activate an object. Maybe it just becomes like only certain humans can activate that specific object. The one they're messing around with in these 2 seasons. But obviously, like, humanity's important for Forerunner shit. So the problem is Kwan Ha doesn't know anything.
Right.
Like, how can she bridge the gap between, unless they're going to introduce, and this was something I thought about when I was watching the first season with when they were talking about kind of the Forerunner shit and her family's history with them. I mean, could she have a Gyash?
Maybe that's who the woman is. That's talking to her.
Maybe.
But I mean,
maybe it's an ancient human.
But that could be, it'd be a little odd just because, that woman, that leader, was also on Sanctuary, and so John interacted with her. So like, a Gyash would be a little bit of a stretch, but I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. And that would...
It kind of felt like that when she saw all her ancestors in that
you're
first
right.
season.
That's a good...
It felt very Gyashi, like she was able to talk to her father and stuff like that. So I could see that being her, like, relevancy. Like, she has a Gyash of either a Forerunner or an ancient human, and that person can kind of guide her and help guide, whatever, like, either John or whoever else about history and Forerunner shit. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's what they're alluding to. Maybe she has a Gyash, and that's what's going to make her actually relevant to the story. Yeah,
I just think whatever they have planned for her, they just needed to introduce it sooner. Because you're right.
Way sooner, yeah.
She's just following our heroes around and getting mixed into their stories and not really pursuing anything on her own. Like, if she had...
Well, she lost her reason. Like, Madrigal's glassed.
Yeah.
Like, she has nothing to do anymore. They took away her reason for,
having a purpose.
Doing anything. Yeah. So, I mean, now she's just talking about scary monsters. Uh-huh. So, I mean, it would be nice if they started to allude more to a Gyash, maybe, or something similar to that.
Yeah, I like that theory. I didn't consider that, but that would be a great way.
We love a Gyash. It's a great way.
We gotta bring in that hard sci-fi.
Well, yeah, and it's such a great way to have a guide and have... Because, it's nice in a story like this to have the person that knows everything explain what's going on to the person who knows nothing, because us as the audience members are the person that knows nothing.
Right.
So you kind of have that buffer and that, like, in-canon reason to be explaining everything, and that's kind of what the Gyash has been in the Halo universe for a long, long time. So it would be a good way to start introducing Forerunner stuff in a way that's going to actually, like, connect with the audience watching this series because Forerunner shit gets complicated very quickly. It's very high sci-fi, so you need some kind of buffer in order to make the high sci-fi actually work within this kind of grungy sci-fi universe that it currently is.
Right. Now they need to kind of fix or solve something there so then it can be relevant, and then we care about Quan, and then we could also, if we're able to get more understanding about the Forerunners and all that, then I think that would be a good gateway to get us into the harder stuff, so to speak. I say it every episode. I just want to care about Quan, but I just can't.
I just can't, yeah? I cared about her a little bit at the end of season 1, and now I'm just like, why are you here?
Yeah, like, episode 1, I was all in for it, and then up until the Monitor, it was like kind of not doing it for me. Then the Monitor piqued my interest, and then like all of season 2, it's just like, okay, you're just a super assassin now. Now you have super strength because you can drag a Spartan across a field in the snow.
Like, I don't understand why they just didn't like shelve her character for a little bit. Instead of like,
speaking of characters have been shelved, like,
Miranda
Keyes yet again does not make an appearance.
Yeah, like gone. Yeah, gone. Where is she?
My theory is that she may not even be in the next episode because on the declassifieds, I forget who they were, but Sydney Goodman, the host, said that like, and next week we're going to interview these two characters, and I forget who they were. I think it's Perez and Kai, and I was like, oh, funny, not Olivia. What is it? Olivia Gray, I think her name is, Olive. I don't know, and I was like, funny. Okay, maybe she doesn't come back till episode 7. Like, I don't know.
Maybe they have
honestly,
shelved her character for a little bit. I mean,
if they just didn't bring Quan back, but then when they did, they just give us all the answers right then and there, and then it's like, okay, great, we care about her, but now she's just an extra character that is a Deus Ex Machina now, like you said, that just keeps showing up and saving people.
Yeah, it's just she's just there. It's kind of annoying.
So let's chat about Halsey. So in this episode,
let's talk about Halsey.
Yeah, so Halsey in this episode does a little bit. She's a little sidelined to the Soren and Liara story, but again, John and Kai continue to talk to her about the Spartan program and like how they were picked as kids and how they were treated, and she continues kind of holding her composure and giving them a drip feed of information of like, well, we chose you guys are the best of the best, you survived augmentation means you mean something and you're capable, and it doesn't mean everyone else was weak, so to speak, but she's kind of continued doing the Halsey thing. Where do you think she goes from here? Like, because she at the end of the episode really is pushing John to find the ring and to explore whatever that means in the context of him and the artifact. Do you think that she is like 100% on that and kind of just doesn't really care about what Oni and the UNSC are like up to at this point? It's like basically she's blinded by Forerunner.
I mean, the thing about Halsey, and this is true in the main canon too, is that if she is not in a lab or actively like looking at a Forerunner object, there's not much for her to do because that is just her purpose.
Yeah.
So her being in the battlefield and being like, here, following the Spartans around and stuff like that, her character doesn't have much to do because she's a civilian, basically. I mean, So she can't fight. She can't, she can do medical stuff. That's about it. So it would make sense for Halsey to be pushing John to Forerunner objects because that is her whole reason. Like, Halsey becomes very obsessed with Forerunner objects and becomes the world's #1 leading expert on Forerunner stuff in the main canon. So we can probably expect Halsey to do the exact same thing in this canon. So I think that's why she's pushing it. I think at this point she doesn't give two shits about what the UNSC is doing, because she's out of the UNSC. She knows they don't like her. They're just going to try to lock her up again. So if she wants to be free to go off and study Forerunner objects, she needs to probably stick with John or someone similar to John.
Yeah, because she doesn't have her lab anymore. Like, it's destroyed on Reach and all that. So it's, she's kind of flying on the seat of her pants to a degree, and kind of at the mercy with whatever John and them do. So it's, she's not really able to move forward until she's able to research and discover and search for things. So she's kind of
on standby.
She's kind of in a holding pattern until she's given the opportunity to kind of go. But I think what we did see of her over the last 2 episodes, though, I think were really good. Like with what the brief moments we got with Keys, and then her like cowering in a corner with all the fighting, and then these kind of small moments we get with Riz and John, of her just kind of continuing to talk about the program. But I can see some desperation in her of like, we need to forget about this extra stuff. We need to focus on what really matters. And so I feel like she potentially can kind of ramp up in the ending portions of this season.
Yeah, she can definitely be pushing the protagonists to get to Halo. Like, she's kind of the catalyst, the person that's going to lead them there. No one else can lead them to the Halo because Cortana's gone, which might be why, for the plot, why they split up Cortana and Halsey, so that Cortana can lead McKee and the Arbiter to the Halo, and Halsey can lead John and whoever is with John at the time to the Halo. So that might be why they did that.
That's pretty good. You know what, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it would be interesting if Cortana actually is with McKee and them, and that would prompt a like rescue mission or like an extraction at some point, to where John and the Spartans need to get Cortana back from McKee and them at some point. If
though, like, considering how Cortana works, like, Cortana's not tied to her chip. Right. At least in the main canon, she isn't. Like, if Cortana wanted to, she could hop on any Covenant transmission and get the hell out of there if she really wanted to. So she just doesn't want to. And I mean, if they wanted to get Cortana back, and they would just need a chip for her to go into.
Yeah.
Like, that's how the AI works. Like, she's just data. She's not she doesn't have any kind of physical form. She can move to wherever she wants to move to. Though I feel like maybe in the TV show they might not have her work like that, just to make it more interesting.
Maybe they kind of phrase it as if like Chief has to kind of rescue her, kind of like how he does in Halo 3, to where she's just kind of left alone, but she's not dealing with like the grave mind and a logic plague or anything like that. But yeah,
not yet.
Not yet. I mean, there's still plenty of Halo TV show to get through, so that'd actually be really cool if they explore all those
logic
kind of
plague.
Weird.
Oh, that'd be so good. I'd love that.
So lastly, we'll talk about Soren and Liara, just kind of what's next for them. We talked about their characters pretty heavily, I think, in this episode on the commentary, and I like what we're seeing. I think it's definitely the strongest that those two characters have been together. How do you think the rest of the season pans out for them? Like, do they find Kessler? If they do find Kessler, do they stick around? Are they here for the big fight at the end? Like, are they just kind of an interesting character in the moment, or kind of how do you feel the story's going, or maybe where do you want these two characters to be kind of in the next episode and for the rest of the season?
I feel like if when they find Kessler, there's no reason for them to be around anymore. Like, that's the only reason they're around, is they want to find their son.
Right.
So, I mean, like, Soren would have to have a huge change of heart, because at this point he's like, I want to be with my family, and I want to go off and do my own shit. And that's how he's been the entire time.
Yeah.
That's just him. He's not there to fight for the UNSC. He's not there to fight for humanity. That's not who he is. Now, he is there to, like, he does like get sentimental when he meets individual people and wants to help them. But when it comes to, like, wanting to save humanity as a whole and stand up to
or like
Covenant and stuff like that,
a purpose larger than him. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Like, that's just not his character. At least in this point in the series, that's not his character. So, like, they would have to come up with something, but at this point, like, the only reason they're around is because they're looking for their son. Once their son is found, there's no reason for them to be here anymore.
Yeah.
So, something will have to happen.
Yeah, that's kind of the mindset I have as well. And I don't know what that something would be, but there needs to be something that happens that would keep him kind of in the fold. Because what I also find interesting is that, like, Soren's character kind of just only exists in this story, like in the Silver timeline, because John didn't trust anybody else with the artifact in season 1, and then he gets roped into this, and Kwan gets left there, and then Kwan ropes him into Madrigal, and then for season 2, like, he kind of gets abducted because this other guy's talking about Halsey. So, like, he kind of puts himself in these situations, kind of following these random little characters. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets himself out of it, and if he sticks around from another character kind of offering some other type of means that keeps him around.
I mean, he is a pirate, so once he realizes, like, the worth of Forerunner artifacts, he might stick around to do that.
Yeah, true.
Like, he might follow Chief around just to find these caches of Forerunner artifacts and just take the ones that aren't relevant to what Chief and Halsey are doing. So, I mean, I could see that being a motivation, maybe. Like, he could just become, like, the Forerunner technology dealer in the galaxy. So, I mean, I could see that happening for his character, but, like, that's the only thing that, like, there needs to be something in it for him to be sticking around.
Or, like, in it for him and his family, like, at the end of the day. He can't. Yeah, you're right. So, okay. So lastly, before we wrap it up here, I want to talk about the characters that we just saw at the very end there, kind of sprinkled in the episode. Parangoski, Ackerson, and Kai. The next episode is Onyx. It's likely going to be on Onyx. We probably have our heroes get to the Onyx base, and we get some interactions and stuff with them. Do you see Ackerson, Parangoski, and Kai kind of being on one side of the coin, and John, Halsey, Soren on the other? Do you think there's going to be more conflict internally, like between Ackerson and Parangoski? Like, what kind of relationship dynamic do you want out of those three characters, either among themselves or maybe like with John in the next episode?
So Ackerson seems very, I don't want to say loyal, but he's not against Oni at all, which means he's not against Parangoski at all. And I'm guessing Parangoski is the one who asked, or, you know, they worked together to make the Spartan 3 program happen. So, like, I mean, obviously Ackerson and Parangoski are going to be totes besties, and Kai is there because Kai is going to fulfill her duty and do what needs to be done. And if, you know, helping out the Spartan 3s is what is her calling, she's going to just do it. She doesn't really have any specific alliance or anything. She's just doing what she needs to do because she's a Spartan. And obviously, like, Halsey and Ackerson will always have a rivalry. That's just who they are. Their brains are too big to exist in the same universe together.
They're in the same room together.
So, oh my gosh, yes. So, and John will always probably be with Halsey at the end of the day. I doubt he would be very happy about the Spartan 3 program as well, considering how much he hates the Spartan 2 program. So.
That is true. I didn't think of that, but the idea of him continually being like, you abducted us and this and that, and then he learns that they're still making Spartans, like, he may want to destroy the Spartan program. Like, he may it may leave a bad taste in his mouth, which I think would just be really interesting, because he's also still super gung-ho about being a Spartan. So it's like,
yeah,
it's
a weird dichotomy.
Yeah, I don't understand that dichotomy with him, and I don't know if that's an intentional dichotomy or a conflicting dichotomy. I don't know. It's weird.
It's weird. It's very weird.
But I do kind of like the idea of Kai maybe defying Chief and being like, well, no, this is like my purpose, and I'm gonna stay with the Spartans. You've lost faith, or yada yada, and maybe there's some tension there between them two.
I can see Kai like imprinting on the Spartan 3s and, taking them under her wing and wanting to take care of them. So, I could see her making that connection with the Spartan 3s, and that's why her and Chief would be at odds, because Chief's like, I hate these people, they're stupid.
Yeah.
And Kai's like, these are my people, I helped them become what they are today.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be, I think we have some good character moments coming in the next episode. Like, I think I mentioned this on the last episode. I don't know if we'll get a whole lot of action, maybe just a little bit here and there, like in some of the other episodes. But I think this episode could be like a lot of like dramatic character tension between all the characters we have on Onyx. So I'm really looking forward to next week.
Yeah, it's interesting they're bringing in Onyx so early in the timeline.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's been
definitely
noted.
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, that was when I first read the episode titles. I saw Onyx and I was like, that is shock.
Excuse me?
Right? Like,
yeah.
You're doing what I think you're doing, because that's interesting.
It's way too early. I mean, I guess if they're trying to marry the video game reach with the book reach, that would make sense, because the Noble team is made out of Spartan 3s.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
Yeah, Onyx has existed for a long time in the background of the core canon. It's just that we didn't get to learn that until much later in the extended universe like release. But so timeline-wise, it still actually fits pretty well. And it's actually a little late if you want to play that card.
Yeah, technically.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll just kind of see how it goes from there. All right. Well, Krysta, thanks for joining me again on another episode of Halo TV Plus. I would love to have you back after the season completely airs and we kind of have some retrospective talk about the whole thing if you're up for it.
Yeah, we could have a round table. That would be fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Trying to get a round table with some of us hosts back and share what we
could be friends again.
Yeah, we could be
record
just like
Halo stuff.
We could all be friends. So, well, Halo the series premieres exclusively on Paramount Plus every Thursday. If you're interested, Alex Wakeford releases his Silver Debriefing blog posts on Halo Waypoint each week that recaps the story of each episode in detail and serves as a hub for additional show-related content. He provides some insight into core canon-related tie-ins as well. For this episode, he primarily talks about the core canon connections to Aleria and where it has appeared in other Halo core canon media like Halo Nightfall and Renegades and some of the Ryan Forge books. So if you want a little bit more detail on that, you can head over there. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, you can find every episode to all of Evolved's show on our website, evolvedhalo.com. Don't forget to check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok. Once again, another special shout out to all of our patrons for their continued support for Evolved and for making all of our shows possible with their contributions. Head over to patreon.com/Halo Evolved to learn more. If you'd like our show, please rate and leave us a review. Greatly appreciate all the feedback we receive from our listeners to improve the quality of our shows. You could also email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail on our Google phone number 205-EVOLVED That's 205-386-5833. And with that, I've been your host, Oran, and until next time,
Evolved!